On April 1st, 2025, the Houthis announced they had downed an American MQ-9 Reaper drone over Yemen's Marib province, a region known for its strategic oil and gas reserves. The U.S. military acknowledged awareness of the claim but has not confirmed the loss of the drone. The Houthis released footage purportedly showing the drone's fiery descent, though independent verification remains pending. The MQ-9 Reaper is among the most advanced unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, in the U.S. arsenal. Capable of flying at altitudes of up to 50,000 feet with a range of over 1,000 miles, the Reaper serves dual roles: surveillance and precision strikes. Its long loiter time and high-resolution sensors make it ideal for intelligence gathering in remote and hostile environments like Yemen, while its capacity to carry Hellfire missiles and laser-guided bombs allows it to eliminate high-value targets with minimal risk to U.S. personnel. The U.S. has deployed MQ-9 Reapers across the Middle East since the early 2000s, and Yemen has been a particular hotspot for drone operations due to its persistent instability. The Houthi insurgency, which began in earnest in 2014 after the group seized the capital of Sana'a, has drawn sustained attention from Washington. The U.S. has targeted Houthi leaders and weapon depots using drones, making the UAVs both a surveillance tool and a symbol of intervention in the region. The downing of this latest drone fits a recurring pattern. The Houthis previously claimed responsibility for shooting down U.S. drones in 2017, 2019, 2023, and 2024, often using surface-to-air missiles or what they described as advanced air defense systems. In some instances, these claims were later corroborated by video evidence or U.S. military confirmation. Each drone shootdown has served as both a tactical and symbolic blow, allowing the Houthis to showcase their growing military capabilities and defiance against U.S. presence. Tensions have sharply escalated in recent weeks. On March 15, 2025, the U.S. launched a renewed air campaign targeting Houthi-controlled sites in northern and western Yemen. The operation came in direct response to a wave of Houthi maritime attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, key international trade arteries. Since October 23, the Houthis have struck dozens of vessels using drones, anti-ship missiles, and even deployed naval mines, threatening the security of one of the world's busiest shipping routes. The Houthis have framed their attacks as acts of solidarity with Palestinians amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict. In their rhetoric, striking Western-linked commercial and military assets is a form of resistance against perceived Western complicity in the Gaza crisis. This framing has helped the group shore up domestic and regional support while expanding their theater of confrontation from Yemen's desert and mountains to the high seas. In response, Washington has shifted its focus from containment to direct suppression. The recent spat of U.S. airstrikes marks one of the most aggressive escalations in years, targeting suspected weapon stockpiles, drone launch sites, radar systems, and command centers. But the shootdown of a 30 million MQ-9 Reaper suggests that despite these efforts, the Houthis remain capable of countering U.S. technology superiority, at least in isolated incidences. This raises concerns about the durability of American air dominance and the long-term trajectory of this shadow war, especially as the conflict continues to spill over into the regional and maritime arenas. While the Houthis publicly present themselves as a homegrown resistance movement, their rise and resilience have long been tied to support from Iran. Tehran has consistently denied direct involvement in the Yemen conflict, but a growing body of evidence, including intercepted weapons shipments, drone parts, and training documentation, point to a deep and sustained relationship between the Islamic Republic and the Houthi movement. Iran's backing is not merely symbolic. Intelligence report on the ground assessments suggest that Iranian military advisors have helped the Houthis develop indigenous capabilities to manufacture drones, ballistic missiles, and surface-to-air weapon systems. One of the most concerning developments has been the suspected provision, or at least facilitation, of Iranian-made 358 surface-to-air missiles. These missiles are specifically designed to target slow-moving aircraft like drones and have distinctive tail-sitting launch mechanisms. Although Iran officially denies supplying them to the Houthis, several recovered missiles from downed drones and failed launches in Yemen bear the same serial numbers and design features as those used by Iranian forces and other Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria. This growing arsenal has emboldened the Houthis and enabled them to contest the airspace over parts of Yemen more aggressively than in previous years. The downing of a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper may not just be a testament to the Houthi capability. It could also reflect an evolution in Iranian proxy warfare. Instead of engaging U.S. forces directly, Iran appears to be strengthening regional allies who can challenge U.S. military operations asymmetrically, forcing Washington to stretch its resources thin across multiple fronts. Beyond the battlefield, Iran's relationship with the Houthis plays into a broader strategy of projecting influence across the Middle East. By entrenching itself in Yemen, Tehran gains a foothold on the Arabian Peninsula and near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital choke point linking the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. This positioning threatens U.S. allies like Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates and poses a strategic challenge to Western maritime operations. The U.S. government and its allies have consistently highlighted this contention in diplomatic efforts, trying to frame the Yemen conflict not just as a civil war but as part of a wider regional struggle between Iran and the West. Meanwhile, Iran's leadership portrays its support for the Houthis as part of a broader axis of resistance against Israeli and U.S. influence in the region. Despite these denials, Tehran's fingerprints on the conflict are increasingly hard to ignore. Whether through the physical presence of its operatives, the transfer of technology, or the ideological alignment, Iran remains deeply intertwined with the Houthi campaign, shaping not just the battlefield in Yemen, but the balance of power in the wider Middle East. The downing of the MQ-9 Reaper drone is just one flashpoint in a much larger crisis, with ripple effects stretching far beyond Yemen. Over the past year, the Houthis have aggressively expanded the scope of their operations, particularly in the maritime domain. Since October 2023, they've launched over 90 attacks on commercial and military vessels transiting the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. These aren't isolated incidents. This is a sustained campaign, one that has resulted in the seizure of a cargo ship, the sinking of 2 others, and dozens of near misses that have sent insurance rates skyrocketing and forcing shipping companies to reroute their vessels around the southern tip of Africa. These disruptions have dealt a blow to global commerce. Roughly 10% of the world's trade passes through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and when that flow is interrupted, the economic shock is felt worldwide. From oil prices to supply chain delays, for everything from electronics to food. Though the U.S. is doing everything in its power to dismantle the Houthis, the campaign is walking a geopolitical tightrope. While Washington frames the strikes as necessary and proportional, critics warn of unintended consequences. Russia has openly condemned the U.S.-led strikes, calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities and accusing Washington of inflaming the situation. China, with its own shipping interest in the region, has urged restraint and called for multilateral dialogue. Meanwhile, the United Nations has sounded the alarm on Yemen's internal stability. The country, already devastated by a decade-long civil war, faces further fragmentation. The resumption of large-scale U.S. military action risks derailing fragile peace talks and exasperating the humanitarian crisis, where over 21 million Yemenis remain in need of assistance. There's also the looming question of escalation. As the Houthis become more capable, they may broaden their target set or seek to draw the conflict deeper into the neighboring territories. For now, the global community continues to monitor the situation with the hopes of finding a way to end the conflict as soon as possible. But only time will tell how these efforts hold up. If you've enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bells to stay up to date with our latest posts.